Stardom, Sid'em, DST for week 8. I got 3 starts and 2 sits for you coming at you right now. Wow, we are already into week 8. Let's get these lineups right. Let's get these W's for maximum points. We don't want the 2 to 3 points in our DST lineups. I'd rather not have anything there and put a bum in the starting lineups in the flex spot if that's the case of what I want. Let's get these points to the high ceiling. And first up, I got the easy layup, the bullies of the division, I should say. The Kansas City Chiefs defense, man, against this Raiders. I know I had my Rams last week against the Raiders. We're going Chiefs this week because we want the points, the big points. This is a top 10 defense in real life and a top 10 DST defense in fantasy, going up against the Raiders, who are most likely going to be going out there with Gardner Minshew, which means there's going to be some sack production here. There's going to be some turnovers. And if they choose to go to newly acquired Desmond Ridder, this is still a layup matchup for the Chiefs in starting lineups, people. You have to look at this defense and how they've been playing. And I understand they're terrible against tight ends in fantasy. And this offense through the Raiders really runs through Brock Bowers, but I'm pretty sure Spags can make some adjustments, keep the points low, get some turnovers, and get the sack production is where we want the Kansas City Chiefs at the top of the leaderboards in week 8. Next up, I got the Houston Texans against the Colts, and Anthony Richardson, he hasn't been playing good or look good. I mean, honestly, 10 completions in the game is real nasty work for me. He's not that weapon X that I thought he was this season, so this should be a great matchup for the Houston Texans that harassed Jordan Love last week. I know Jordan Love threw 3 touchdowns, but that is not the best fantasy outcome from Jordan Love, where he had a season low of passing yards last week, and that's because this Texans defense is a top 5 pass defense. So therefore, with Anthony Richardson going through his struggles in the passing game, I think this is a game where they can keep him in check, keep him out of the end zone. I don't think they're going to be able to keep him from running, because more so, I don't think there's going to be much sack production here. What I'm really banking on is the low points, maintain the points, get some fumbles maybe, or even an interception from Anthony Richardson taking those deep shots to Alec Pierce, because like I said, this is a top 5 pass defense in the NFL right now. We saw what they did to Jordan Love last week. They still maintained to have 9 fantasy points in DST lineups. That is really, really good, man. And you're looking at Anthony Richardson through his struggles. Keep him in check. Try to keep him in the pocket, because you're not really going to get that sack production because he has not touched the turf that much. He is going to take off, but just keep him out of the end zone. And we should all be happy having the Texans in our starting lineups for week 8. Next up, I got the Chargers versus the Saints this week. Now, I know the Chargers might have disappointed you last week, but this is the week they bounce back, get the points that we all need from them, because honestly, this may be a defense that I'm rocking with for the rest of the season. I really don't see no need to be swapping in and out week to week unless there's a defense on the waiver wire that has higher ceiling than the Chargers that week. But honestly, this is a strong, solid defense, and going against Spencer Rattler and this Saints O-line, I think there could be some mistakes here by Spencer Rattler being without his weapons like Rashid Shaheed. Chris Olave should be playing this week. Honestly, he only had a concussion. I don't see him missing multiple games, but Malik Neighbors did, so who knows? But man, looking at this offense, there's not much offensive threats other than Alvin Kamara. And I think this Chargers defense can keep him in check, get the turnovers, get some sacks, because it's there on the table for him, but they're a top 10 defense in takeaways, so I'm expecting them to maintain the points and try to build from those 10 points that we start off with in week 8. Now to get into my week 8 fades, I got a team that you should be fading and a defense you should be cautious. Maybe pump the brakes and look the other way to see if there's any options that you can plug and play in for this week. Now, the first defense I want you to fade is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the Falcons. Last time these two teams met, they both put up 30 burgers, and honestly, I think this defense may be exhausted based on the struggles that they may be facing going into this week with the Buccaneers losing Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. That is such a huge blow to that offense, and Baker Mayfield may be playing a lot of hero ball because we saw him struggle, because once you lose Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, I don't know how you go out there and not throw a couple interceptions. So I'm not really liking how this Bucs offense is going to be. Keeping the defense on the field for majority time only leads to being exhausted. Not much production out there, not much points on the board. So the Falcons, man, they have too many offensive threats out there where I think this can turn into another 30 burgers. So low points here this week for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense. Now to get into my last fade for week 8, I'm more so cautious about this Jets defense in starting lineups. Last 2 weeks, man, they've been giving up piss poor points, I should say, less than 5 points in back-to-back weeks, and they let up 37 points against the Pittsburgh Steelers and Russell Wilson. Now, they're going against the Patriots this week. You're probably thinking, like, this offense has been trash. Last time they met, they really abused him, but man, that was Jacoby Brissett. Now, Drake May, I feel as though he's playing really good football right now. He could literally throat chop them on the surprise and really get under this secondary and put up some points. I honestly think Drake May is a very night and day concept when you're looking at Jacoby Myers, because the dude has 5 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks. This dude is finding the end zone, and this secondary is a little bit banged up for the Jets side. And I think that's why these last 2 weeks, they haven't been really performing in the DST starting lineups. And I honestly think if you have other options, I would pivot there, because again, we're not looking for the 5 points. We're not looking for 7 points. We're looking for 9 points or more, and teams that can really stack on to those high ceiling matchups. And I don't think this is a matchup I want to be rolling the dice with the beat up secondary that the Jets got going on and their Jersey Shore storyline they got going over there. It's a bunch of drama, and they're still trying to figure some things out. So if you could pivot, I would. So this wraps up another great episode of RotoBaller Fantasy Sports YouTube channel. Please make sure you guys are liking and subscribing. We're almost at 25K people. Get the subscribes up, and make sure you guys are leaving a comment below on your start and sit questions, and I'll try to answer them all the way up until game time. And you guys can follow me at Real Deal Fantasy on all social media platforms. Until next time.